Hi, kia ora, and welcome to Creative Connections, where we have beautiful, inspiring conversations with artists living in Aotearoa, New Zealand. I'm your host, Mandy Jakich. Kirsty Nixon is a contemporary New Zealand artist living in Tāmaki Makaurau Auckland. Her vibrant, light-filled paintings celebrate the untamed beauty of Aotearoa New Zealand, from the windswept beaches of the North Island to the soaring mountain ranges of the south. Drawing inspiration from the land, sea and native birdlife that surround her, Kirsty's work invites a quiet moment of reflection, a breath of peace amidst the noise of modern life. With an instinctive eye for colour and composition, Kirsty transforms everyday encounters with nature into uplifting works of art that feel both familiar and extraordinary. Kirsty has been a practising artist since 1997, after a career in graphic design and advertising. In this episode, Kirsty talks about how working in advertising led her to having a nervous breakdown of sorts, which turned out to be the catalyst for taking a break and finally choosing to become a full-time artist. We talk about how art initially provided an out for her socially and continues to nourish her mental health and well-being. We talk about Kirsty's positive connection with New Zealand artist Tim Wilson and what she gained from his influence, how her work has evolved over the years and even gone full circle in some ways, her strategies for dealing with imposter syndrome and a lack of confidence at times, and also getting through periods where she has felt discouraged or unmotivated. Kirsty talks us through her painting style and the different series of works she makes, from the well-known New Zealand native flora and native bird landscape works and her roadie series, to more graphic works incorporating different colour palettes and pattern. Ngā mihi, thank you very much to Kirsty for coming onto Creative Connections and sharing her lovely practice with us. And thank you for listening. Kia ora, Kirsty.
Hello.
It's good to see you.
It's so lovely to see you, and I'm so glad we finally actually managed to connect properly.
I know.
It's been a while.
It has been a while. Do you know what? I look back and I actually created your blog post in 2021.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
Yes.
That's been a long time.
That's a long time. And that was when I sort of first was expecting to speak to you at some point. And then, I don't know, between whatever, we haven't quite managed it, but here we are.
I think I was probably a little bit scared. I have to be honest. And I thought, oh, what am I going to say? Who's going to want to listen to what I've got to say? But anyway, no, it's good. I'm really pleased. I'm actually excited now.
Yeah,
so
good.
It's perfect.
And I'm happy that you've joined us. So a big welcome to Creative Connections. I'm sure you have many things that will be interesting for our audience to listen to, so don't you worry about that. First of all, you're living in Auckland, in Tāmaki Makaurau. So what do you love about Auckland?
What do I love about Auckland? Oh, I just love the fact that it's kind of like the buzzy, beautiful part of New Zealand. I love all of New Zealand, really, but I think I'd struggle to live anywhere else because I like the hubbub of Auckland. I like its proximity to everything, and the fact that it's the big international airport where everybody lands, and we just need to keep them in Auckland for a little bit longer. But yeah, I think I like its busyness, and it's pretty blimmin' beautiful. We've got the harbour, and we've got mountains, and we've got hilly drives to wherever we're going. It's not completely flat. Yeah, I just feel like we're close to so much stuff.
Yeah,
and
I love the two coasts and how close they are together and how different they are, the East Coast and the West Coast.
How different they are. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And were you born in Auckland, Kirsty?
I was, and here's the sad story. I live probably 5 streets away from where I was born.
Really?
Yes. Clearly, I love this area. Mum and Dad built our family house, which was really architectural and everything. Mum was very creative, mathematical as well, but very creative. So we had this very cool 1970s architecturally designed house. My uncle's an architect. And then I stayed there for a while, went flashing and everything. And then my husband and I ended up buying the first house that they had bought in that street. So yeah, going back, they built the first house in this beautiful cul-de-sac in Remuera, went to live in Thames. My dad was a painter decorator. Then they came back to Auckland and built a house, the cool house, in the same street because they loved the area so much. Years later, just before we gave birth to our second child, the first house came up for sale and we fell in love with it and thought, oh my gosh, and mum and dad are just down the road and we're going to have 2 young children. What do you reckon? And we'll go and have a look. We'll just go and have a look. I thought, no, there's no way he's going to move or anything. And then I went down and had a cup of tea with mum and dad, came back, David's basically negotiating to buy the house. And
really?
I just went, yes. Yes, so it's brilliant. Absolutely
That's a cool
brilliant.
story. I love that.
Yeah, we're in Meadowbank now. Yes, I'm not very adventurous.
And your parents, you were saying, were pretty creative, and your genetic line down the female side were obviously pretty creative, your grandmother and your mum. So can you tell us a little bit about that and how that influenced you creatively?
Well, mum was very artistic from a very young age, and she's got this, it was funny, this always used to come up. We were just going through photo albums and everything once, and she goes, oh, I drew that. And it was this massive tiger along on this blackboard. You drew it. Like, you have to have drawn it freehand and everything. It was amazing. And she goes, I was probably only about 14. And she'd always been, artistic with, sewed and knitted. There's that whole generation that was very talented like that.
And you yourself, were you starting to make as a child, and how did you go at high school?
Oh, it was just all art, photography. Yeah, I had no interest in anything else. I just used to love borders and speedball, the speedball thing where we all, you'd do the Tudors and you'd have that Tudor writing going on. It was, I spent so much time on making it look good. I don't know how much content was in it, but it was just like, oh, here's another page. Oh, I can decorate this.
Yeah, I remember those days. It was quite a different thing, wasn't it? It was, and for younger listeners, the Speedball book was like a lettering book.
Yes.
And we used to kind of trace it onto our exercise book and do beautiful headings and borders. It's quite funny that was a thing in in those days, and it was something for us more creative types that, we loved that. And it probably was the making of a lot of subjects that we could actually do that kind of work. But it's
Exactly.
I don't think it's something that's done these days, is it?
I think a lot of people limit themselves by what they're able to achieve on a computer as well. So they go straight into, okay, well, I can make this look good on the computer by doing this without drawing it out, thinking, okay, how do I make the computer do this? So yeah, I remember that was something, because I used to be in advertising, and that was one thing that the creative director actually said. He said, start with a drawing. And my daughter does that now as a graphic designer. I'm just so pleased that she was taught, start with a drawing and then see if you can make your computer doing it, rather than limiting what you can do on the computer.
Yeah, so true.
But yeah, we just used to, it was just so wonderful to just draw, and you got the new felt pens and brand new pencils with a fresh page.
Yes, I so remember that feeling. Yeah, it is quite different with computers. So after school, were you thinking that you would do something creative, or did you ever have that thought that you would be an artist one day?
I thought I would go into graphic design. So even when I was at school, I would have been about 15. All I wanted to do was draw or paint or whatever. Jan Aldrich Miller, so she used to do beautiful watercolours and, of old houses and things. Very talented lady. Anyway, she said to Mum, okay, get her this decent watercolour paper. It's got to be 300, the Bockingford brand, and get her this brush, and this brush, these three colours of watercolours. I think it was ultramarine, burnt umber, and yellow oxide. And I will teach you to paint. So I was about 15. And yeah, she sent me along to one of her mates who also helped as well. And yeah, I did, my first little watercolours at that age, but alongside school. She got me to join the Fellowship of Artists. And I think it was so wonderful. I was probably the youngest by about 50 years. It's an older crew. They were based in Mount Eden. And by that stage, I was painting watercolour flowers and gardens and everything. They were quite loose. We used to go down to Mission Bay and hang these paintings on like clothes hangers. And I think Dad made me a big peg board and everything. And we just used to sit down there with our sun hats on and sandwiches. me with all these lovely old people, and we used to sell our artwork. And we'd do life drawing classes. I remember at 15 going to a life drawing class and seeing a man's appendage for the first time. It was just, I remember coming home telling Mum, because I was just sitting there absolutely mortified at what I was seeing. Left school at 16 and wanted to get into AUT graphic design. Didn't make it in, and Mum said, well, you've got to do something. You've left school. My grandfather was a bank manager. Mum worked in the bank. She said, we'll just get you a job in a bank for a little while. You've got to have a job. I was terrible at it. Just terrible. I just don't have a logical brain that works the way bankers are meant to. The one part that I loved about bank was that it brought me out of my shell. Then I met a very old friend of mine that I'd gone to primary school with, and he was working in a publishing company. And he said, I thought you were going to do graphic design. We hadn't seen each other for years. He'd gone to university. And he said, I thought you were going to go and do graphic design or art. Like, what are you doing here? And I went, oh. And he said, oh, we're actually looking for a junior graphic designer. You need to come and meet Julie, my boss. She's the production manager. He was like a boy Friday kind of thing while he was at university. And so I went over, met Julie, and stayed in that job for about 7 years. It was travel publishing. The crew was all fabulous. And yeah, it was a beautiful family run company, and loved it. Made great friends. Yeah. So
how amazing.
that was that.
How good that I mean, it's probably the universe again, isn't it, if you believe in that kind of thing? But obviously that was where you were meant to be, and it finally happened. And possibly you didn't get accepted, not so much from talent or lack of talent in that first role, that with the first when you applied for
Yep.
graphic design. It was probably that they could see that you were a bit young.
Well, I think I was young, and I was young in my head too. I think I think that would have been quite obvious. I think I was quite nervous isn't the word, naive maybe.
Yeah, and just not quite ready.
Just young.
Yeah, probably could see that. And I applied for Teachers College at the end of sixth form actually, and I was very young. I was young in my year, so I would have been 16 as well, and I didn't get in. And I just thought, actually, that was the best thing that ever happened to me, because seventh form or year 13, that was the year that I really found myself and really gained confidence in myself. And that was the making of me, really. And I needed that year before going to uni to kind of just grow up a bit and find myself. And so I always felt like it was because I was destined to be a teacher. I really believed that. But I felt like they knew that it wasn't the time. I wasn't ready.
I think maybe if I'd stayed for year 13, it would have been the same. I think you do a lot of growing in that year 13 time.
Yeah.
So, who knows what would have happened, because I changed completely as a person that year and became so, brave and just out there. And yeah, it was just like a switch got flipped on. And I don't know if it was the fact that I was working or, yeah, like you say, whether it would have happened if I'd stayed for that last year.
Yeah. And
Um,
it may not have. Like it maybe was leaving school that gave you that. That may
mm,
never have happened if you'd stayed. I mean, you just don't really know, do
yeah,
you? Yeah.
no.
And what happened after the 7 years of graphic design? Where did you go to from there?
Well, I left there because the company got bought out by another company, and they merged. The two companies merged, and we ended up with a new production manager that I didn't. I get on with everyone. Trust me, I get on with everyone. This guy, I just didn't. I did not warm to him, and I remember I went in and resigned on a Sunday. I never thought I would leave this company. Never thought I'd leave. I thought I'll have babies and get married and everything before I leave here. Because they were just such lovely people. Um, and then this guy started, and I just couldn't warm to him. Went in on a Sunday and told the boss, I said, John, I can't work here anymore. I just can't connect with him. I think it's time I leave. And he was very accepting. He said, yeah, no, if it's your time, it's your time. We want you to stay, but, we can't, just given everything that's happened, he's going to stay. He's been brought in, that we've been told that transition has to include him. And this guy, I went up to him and I said, I've resigned on Sunday. He looked at me, and this is why I didn't get on with him. You'll understand why. He looked at me and he just went, well, what the fuck am I meant to do now? And I just went, oh, what? I worked my guts out for that firm, but loved it. And then I got a job for a small advertising agency. All the way through, I'm painting at the same time. I was doing my watercolor flowers and bringing them in to get them to the framer, and all the people at work would buy them and say, oh, can you put a white frame on this? Or can you do this frame on this one? And go. So they sold before I even got them framed, which was
Really?
great.
And that was in your 20s. So you pretty much
Yes,
from
early
age
20.
15 kept
Yes,
painting all the way through.
just kept painting the whole way through. And I think watercolor is actually a really good discipline because it teaches you to you sort of can't make a mistake with watercolor once it's on the paper. I mean, you can scrub your paper back, but once it's there, it's there. And then joined an advertising agency, the small advertising agency that had, quite good clients and everything. But man, it's a tough industry, and it didn't really suit my personality. And yeah, long hours, stressful times, and I just wake up. I think I told you I'd wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning and think, I think I've set that whole file up wrong, and it's going to come back and it's going to be a disaster, and I'm going to have 3,000 flyers with the wrong phone number, or I'm going to have, and it got to the stage where I pretty much had a breakdown.
Really?
And
And
yes,
which is quite, it's not that unheard of in the advertising industry. It's pretty ruthless, isn't it? And
yeah,
some people, I mean, I've
yeah,
spoken to, I think it was Josh on the podcast who, was part of advertising as well,
mm,
and that affected him in the end,
yeah.
and helped him to make a decision to become an artist. So, what
Mm.
was it about the advertising industry, do you think, that you found stressful?
There are some interesting personalities in advertising. Um, the deadlines and making errors and ticking boxes and everything. And I'm smart, but I'm not fastidious about things. And I was just aware that if I didn't have something on a list, I could miss something on that list, and suddenly, oh my gosh, there's thousands of dollars, and suddenly that budget's gone and we're not making anything on that job. So I took it all so personally, and my whole family celebrated. I met my then husband before I left. Thank goodness for him, because he kind of gave me the courage to just, no, this isn't good for your health. This is not
Mm.
good. And, Mum was very aware of it, but your mum can tell you anything till the cows come home.
Yeah,
As
exactly.
soon as you've got a boyfriend that tells you, okay, I think this is not good for you.
Yeah.
So I remember they just popped the champagne when I left the first time. And then they lured me back and said that they would give me a $10,000 pay rise because I was working pretty hard, and a $10,000 pay rise and an assistant, a person that would help me. So I thought, okay, well, if they're prepared to do that, maybe, I'll just go back because there's so much of it is fun. And I went and lasted 2 weeks.
Really?
I just went,
Wow.
no,
Is that
no,
right? So that experience with the advertising company obviously affected you mentally and, affected your anxiety levels. And there's nothing worse than sort of overthinking and not being able to sleep and
that was
catastrophizing
terrible.
things in the night,
Mm.
we've all been there. So how did that actually make you feel and what did you do to kind of support yourself to get through that part of your life?
David had a job and he was able to give me a couple of little jobs to sort of see me through and keep my brain going. But I didn't really work for about 6 months properly. And then we got on a plane and we went overseas. And so it's probably a year. Let's say it's a year. And we got on a plane, but I was painting at this stage alongside still. Got on a plane to go to his godmother's 70th birthday. And I didn't know what to put on the immigration form. It's like, well, I'm not, what am I? Like, I'm not employed. And he goes, you're an artist. And I went, oh, okay. I'm an artist. And the switch went on. And I thought, yeah, I've been an artist the whole time. So
Mm.
let's just give it a shot and dive right in. And that's what I did. It
Isn't
was
that amazing? And
brilliant.
that was
Yeah.
1998. So that was like 27
Yes.
years ago, which is
Yeah.
incredible. And you, I mean, did you feel like because you've gone through this sort of this strain and, mental strain, did you feel also that you needed to just make art?
Yes, I think I've always needed to. Um, I, I used to use making art as an excuse to not hang out with people. Like if I wanted to avoid something, so clearly there was always something in the background that, an anxiety at some level. And so it kind of gave me an out. No, 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 I have to finish this painting because
Yeah.
I've got this exhibition. I've got to hang my work on a clothesline
Yeah.
at Mission Bay this weekend.
But also, you probably didn't
Uh,
realize that actually the actual process of making was good for your mental health.
oh no, I didn't, but it was absolutely imperative. In 94, 95, um, Tim Wilson was hosting a fellowship art awards. And my work looked very different because I'd gone away from the watercolors and they'd become these loose landscapes with acrylics and everything. Tim Wilson was judging, and I thought, there's no way I'm not going to win anything, and my mum said, you need to just go and introduce yourself. He turned around my mum literally pushed me towards him and said, is she doing okay? Like, what is this? And he went, oh, I want to talk to you. And he staged my first exhibition.
Really?
Yeah, he organised it all. It was above the French art shop in Ponsonby. And Susan Wood, the news about, she was the first person that walked into the gallery. And yeah, had all these landscapes of the South Island. He was always just in the back of my mind, wanted to nurture me more, but it was just, yeah, he was too big and scary for me. It was like,
Really?
yeah, I could have really seized that opportunity and gone down his path, but he always remained, I could always ring him and say, you know, want to hang out. And he was always
How
very open.
amazing.
He was a lovely, lovely man.
Yeah, and he was a mentor to quite a lot of artists,
Yeah.
wasn't he? And he could have, like you say, become more of a mentor for you potentially, but for
He
whatever
wanted
reason,
to.
yeah,
He wanted
like,
to, but I was just too scared. It was
yeah.
just,
But he saw something in your work, obviously, and in your
Yeah, I
talent.
was very lucky. I was
Yeah.
very lucky because without him, I wouldn't have jumped. I definitely wouldn't have jumped.
And
Um,
that did you feel affirmed by the fact that he liked your work?
yes, yes. Yeah, I approached a couple of galleries, and the second gallery, the first gallery, I won't mention the name because they're quite well known, but they said, no, I think you come back in a couple of years, and then, yeah, we'll see where you are. And they have since approached me and wanted me back. And it was like, well, can't have me because you're too close to the one that actually took me. So,
Oh,
yeah, I
really?
always felt quite chuffed about that. It was quite funny. But, yeah, so I ended up down out by the sea, and that had my first exhibition, my second exhibition there. First one was with Tim, and then the second one was there. And I've been with them ever since.
What was your work
Uh,
like?
it was the first lot of paintings at Tim's one were very, very expressive because all I wanted to do, my watercolors had become very tight and come full circle because now my acrylics are quite tight. But I wanted to just really just let rip and just be really expressive. And I still love those. And I've got one, the first one that I ever did like that, I've kept, and I'd given it to Mum for Mother's Day, and people love it because well, it's so not like me, but it's really loose. And
Mm,
yeah, people, yeah, they go, oh my gosh, it doesn't even look like the same person. But clearly I've ended up where I'm meant to be because once again, I've come full circle and ended up
yeah.
tight. And yeah,
It's so interesting, isn't it? And were
funny.
you still responding to the New Zealand landscape at that time?
Yes, at that stage I was. It was beaches and mountains and roads, which which now I'm doing. So Mum and I did it. Tim actually wrote a map for us to go around New Zealand, the South Island, and he said, "This is where you go. Your mind will be blown." And yeah, so Mum and I went on a trip together, and I painted Lindisfarne Hills, just and the road and that sort of lonely road feeling with the with the posts and everything. And here I am doing that again now. It's like I've
Mm,
come back to that as well. So yeah, there's all these, but I'm doing it better. They were quite bright. The skies were sort of like this intense blue. All the hills were really super orange. That was a time.
yeah, yeah. And it's all part
Yeah.
of, what you've established now, that all of that work
Mm.
sort of is building up towards what you now make. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So it's so great that
Yeah.
you managed I mean, in some ways, a stressful situation like that can be the catalyst to kind of force you into making a decision, and that was like the sort of transition period, that period of not working where you managed to get to that point thanks to your now husband, that you thought, okay, let's do this kind of thing, which is
Yeah.
so great. And it's so amazing that you've had so many years of being an artist and developing your craft.
I've been incredibly lucky. Not once has he ever said, "Oh, you need to go and get a proper job." And it's funny because I still don't think of it as a job. It's it's just such a joyful thing to be able to do. Um, so yeah, the fact that he's not once, even when we've had everyone's had times where things have been lean and everything, but there was never that question. It
Mm,
never came up. Oh, maybe you need to go and get a real job.
yeah, which is
Um,
so great.
he's
And
always supported me, and Mum
yeah.
and Dad were always incredibly supportive, and
Well,
um,
they respect what you
yeah,
do, and they respect the fact that
yeah.
you're an artist and that is your profession and that is your
Mm.
job.
The thrill of somebody liking what you do and buying it, or you know, even showing you what that they've still got something that they bought 20 years ago. You go, oh my gosh, so, oh my, or somebody turning up at someone's house and going, oh my gosh, I was looking and I thought it was yours, and it was. That's even lovely too.
Yeah.
When people can sort of identify your work, and you've clearly made a connection where people walk past and I mean, even people now. will send me images, and it will be a flax or a cabbage tree or something. I'll be looking out somewhere, and they'll just go, "Oh my gosh, I took this photo for you because it was just a Kirsty Nixon painting."
Yeah.
Which I thought, oh, they're even looking at the world differently
Yeah.
because of what I painted
Yeah.
or what I
Which is
paint,
amazing.
which
Yeah.
is lovely.
Yeah. And you really
Mm.
do have a very distinctive style. But it's quite interesting that you have returned to your landscapes with the road. So you also have a series that sort of goes alongside your foliage and your sort of flora and fauna, New Zealand flora and
Mm.
fauna. And then you've got your roadies series, which is returning a
Yeah.
little bit back to what you were doing, quite a long time ago. And then you have other works that have sort of started to appear, I've noticed in the last year, where you're exploring pattern and sort of a different color palette. And
Yes.
yeah, it feels like you've almost got three series. Is that how you see it?
Yes, I probably have. I mean, I've even got the colourful with the realistic birds on the colourful background, and that was just like me needing to be expressive. And
Mm,
I thought, well, I can't be completely expressive because that's not my personality, and I sort of don't know what to do with it.
yeah.
Um, so it kind of, I thought, okay, well, if I can put the birds in, it's still me, but it's me being a little bit more expressive, and even the neutrals are a bit like that. The new pieces, but they've got pattern in them. But I sort of feel like I've got a little bit of freedom with the background, and then I've got the tightness of the birds that keeps me true to myself.
Yeah.
Um, so pe- people go, oh, well, I can see the connection. It's
Yeah.
either, I mean, I've got a very strict palette. I try and break out of my palette, but I've got, honestly, I just buy the same green for years. I try and be adventurous, but I just keep coming back to the same green. So when I'm branching out, going, I'm just so sick of green. I just need to do something different. At least I can play now with my
Yeah.
backgrounds and have a bit of fun.
Yeah, I love
Um,
that. And
yeah,
those neutrals, and we'll talk in a bit more depth about those in a minute, but they seem to sort of come back to that whole 1970s vibe. It's got that kind of
yeah,
that pattern from that era, quite a little bit retro, which is very funky. I really like
yes.
those. Yeah.
Oh, well, mum and dad had the big Maramiko panels on the wall, and uh, the lanterns and everything. So there was a very 70s,
Yeah.
I that era kind of resonates with me a bit, because it's
Mm,
the year that you really grow up and start thinking and noticing things.
yeah.
And yeah, so I and I love the neutrals. It's the softer palette. I find them very relaxing to paint, and they're really instinctive. I think I do paint quite. I don't draw anything. I just all I ever do is the horizon.
Really?
and, yeah, and the rest is just I work from the back, so I'll start my sky, then I'll do my sea. But the only thing I will have drawn will have been the horizon, if there's a horizon in it. And then everything else. So and then I'll put my blacks in, and I work forward. But the blacks are never drawn. So nothing is drawn on the canvas.
Really?
It just evolves.
Wow. That is
Yeah.
incredible. I can't actually imagine how you do
Yeah.
that. Do you start with a photograph to work from?
Yes, I've got all sorts of photographs. So I'll use them as reference. Like if I'm doing kofi flowers, I'll have images of kofi flowers on my knee, but they're not true to anything that's in that photo. They're just like a reference.
Mm,
So some people are quite fastidious about, okay, well the fold goes that way and then it goes that way. Well, I'm not. I'm a lot more graphic
yeah.
with yeah. So I mean, maybe that's my design background. I don't know, or
Mm,
I like the sort of cleaner. I love, I mean, Neil Palmer is like the master of flax and magnolia flowers and everything. And it's just like, I look at that, but it's just not, I mean, that's him.
Yeah.
That's him. It's just, he gets all those folds and everything, whereas mine is very almost two-dimensional, but it's not.
Yeah.
I'm always sort of surprised when people say, "Oh, gosh, it looks like a photo." No, it doesn't.
Yeah. But it
you
is an
know,
interesting mix, isn't it? I mean, it's some of your works, when I've looked at them on Instagram, I do think it's a photograph to start with. I mean, it does, even though it's obviously not photorealism. I mean, a lot of them, they are realistic, but then they just
they're
have this,
realistic, but they're not.
yeah,
Yeah.
and they just have this slight sort of je ne sais quoi. It's something that is probably that graphic influence where
Mm,
it's slightly not perfectly realistic, but I think that's a good thing in a way because that's your style. That's how you paint.
mm. And it's a painting. It's not a photograph.
Yeah.
So
And
I feel like you can be a little bit, there's artistic license and
yeah.
with some stuff. It's just like,
Yeah,
yeah, if you make a mistake, you can put a leaf there.
exactly. And a lot of
So I've
people,
got an idea in my head of, okay, well this one might have Rangi Toto in it, but Rangi Toto needs to go here, and then I imagine the cabbage trees will come down here, and then the bird will come on this side, and it needs to twist in that way. So in my head, it's all happening. But yeah, sometimes I look at what I've done, and I mean, I've got all my prints now. I'm doing my limited edition prints, and I go and pick them up sometimes, and I go, oh, I painted that, and I kind of I can't believe that I did it. It's like,
yeah,
how did that happen? How did, yeah,
that's
sort of,
amazing.
I know you probably can't even imagine what I'm thinking, but I do genuinely think that. I look at it and go, oh my gosh, I painted that. Yeah.
Even after more than 25 years, you still
Yes.
have that feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is
Yes.
very
Um,
interesting. And I find that whole process quite interesting that you're obviously such a visual thinker and you can work out the
mm,
composition in your head without sort of sketching, which is
yeah.
probably not that common. And then you know go straight to painting. And how, I mean, your works, they are of New Zealand flora and fauna, as we said, and landscapes. But they are very much, as we said, have your style. And there's no other painter. There are a lot of New Zealand artists who are responding to our environment, but it doesn't seem
Mm,
like there's any other painter who paints like you. Like you can tell it's yours, especially with the flora and the birds. You know,
mm.
you're such a distinctive style. So I guess that's just from the experiences that you've had with design.
I It's funny how you just fall into things and you sort of hit on it and you go, oh, this works. Um, and then you just want to make it better. That was one thing Tim actually said to me. I was having this real time where I just thinking, what am I doing? I just feel like nothing's working and it was just slow and everything. And he said, those times, that's when you upskill and when you play. And yeah, great. And I've said that to so many other people when they say, "Oh, I've lost my mojo." This is when you upskill, and this is when you play.
Yeah.
And I don't actually play a lot. I think uh, I don't know why, but my end game is always I want to sell it to get rid of it so I can buy more stuff to make more art. So I hate having stuff lying around. I don't like clutter. So I don't like seeing old paintings because, oh, they haven't sold for a reason. Why haven't they moved? I mean, they can even be ones I really love, but I don't like keeping on looking at them. So I'm just like, oh, I just want it to go and then I can just make more art. So it's not like I just feel like I don't play enough because then it's just going to sit there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah. I
my
know what you
end
mean.
game is always to sell it,
Yeah.
just to have it off my hands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ready for the
So
next piece.
ready for the next thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you quite often
So
have that sort of viewpoint where you're looking through foliage or looking through harakeke flax
mm,
or, New Zealand flower of some sort, and often have the bird in the foreground and then there's sort of landscape
hmm
behind. Do you know why you like that perspective?
uh, it started without the birds. And I liked the idea that you just didn't have a well, it started with just the landscape and then I started introducing the foliage. And I was like, gosh, I like the way this is going because I feel like it's sort of more an intimate view of a landscape. So I feel like and then it just became um I don't know, I saw it working nicely and thought, okay, I need to get better at this.
Mm.
And so it just evolved. And now it's very much how I look at everything. If I'm taking photographs of something, there's always foliage in the foreground and then the landscape in the back. But um, then the birds got introduced because I think it just sort of gave another dimension where you just had another level of intimacy with the bird. Um, and it was it felt almost like you sort of got a stolen moment with this birds captured and that I mean they never sit like that, it's just like you've stolen this and then the foliage is there and you're caught up in it together and look what he can see, look what he's looking at.
Mm.
So I don't know, when I saw it working I just wanted to get better and better at that.
Yeah.
um,
How did you get better at that? What did you do to hone your
I'm
skills?
really disciplined, really disciplined. I paint probably every day, I think. Yeah, I would say even it's never felt like a job. So if I'm if I'm at a loose end, it'll be just, I'll just paint. The studio is actually right behind me. It's the tiniest thing in the world, but it's attached to the house. So and it's the main living areas over here. The TV's just here, and I'm here, and the kitchen's just there, and so I'm the family's just right next to me, so I don't feel like and that's why I want it. I don't ever feel like I've got to escape and have my own space. Um, I'm right here, so quite often dinner is late because I just carry on painting. And and if I'm at a loose end in the weekend and don't feel like vacuuming, it's just like, well, it's not something I need to feel guilty about
Mm.
because,
No.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
sort of almost an income. Well, it's an income as well. So
Yeah,
who
exactly.
can complain about me working?
Yeah, you're
Yeah,
contributing.
kids have just grown up with it.
Yeah.
So
And
mm,
just back to honing your skills, did you actually go away and sort of do some more classes to sort of help with painting birds, for example, or was it purely just the time that you spent?
it was just time. It
Mm.
just, and they've evolved too. If friends have bought older bird paintings and I look at them now, because otherwise they escape into the ether and you don't really know. They sell through a gallery and go to people that you don't know.
Mm.
But it's great. It's really good when I can visit the older pieces and I look at them and just go, oh, I've changed since then. Even my birds are evolving.
Mm.
And they are becoming more graphic. The early birds were very, like I was trying to be realistic, a lot more realistic, but even they're becoming more graphic, which is which is an interesting evolution as well. And yeah, I sort of like the way I'm seeing this progression happening like sooner, like it's happening in real time now.
Yeah.
So
And it's great that you've got to the point too where you're thinking, okay, this is where I'm naturally needing to go, and kind of
yeah,
allowing yourself and not thinking I should make them more realistic or just trusting how you're
mm,
feeling and where you're at with your practice and just letting that evolve. And that's
letting it
letting
happen.
your true style come through, isn't it, really?
Mm. Yeah, I sometimes feel like, it's like the neutrals. I just sort of think, so what is this? How do I explain it? And I mean, I can't. I mean, I just sort of paint because it makes me feel joyful, and I hope that it makes other people feel joyful. I'm not political. I'm not trying to make a point. It's just I mean, it sounds like cliche. We live in the most beautiful country in the world. So why would I not want it? Like, we've got graphic plants and our birds are cool and they make great noises. And, I mean, it's so inspirational. So, yeah, I mean, I like the fact that I'm branching myself out into these more neutral colors because it means that I'm playing. Um, but yeah, so that's sort of really, I'm just sort of inspired when you just wake up.
Yeah.
Like
And
I
how
said, I'm not
amazing is
being
that?
political. I just want to paint pretty pictures.
Yeah, which is fine, and it's no less valued, it's no less important. It's just you as an artist, and that's what you want to be doing, you know. And you say that you decided to introduce the birds on top of the foliage. What is it about birds? And I think tuis in particular are quite
Oh, yes,
meaningful
Therese.
for you. So what
Yeah.
is it about the birds?
Um, I think I think a lot of people seem to have a connection with birds. Um, I it's funny. We go down to Christchurch. Our daughter's living in Christchurch at the moment, and I go down there and it's quiet, and yet in Auckland we've got the tuis. We are bombarded with tuis in our area. We've got the beautiful uh the kiruru out in the back garden, and the tuis just swoop, and then we've got the moorporks at night, and yeah, it's. I mean, I love the fact that we're in a city,
Yeah.
but we've still got all this beautiful bird life, and it really woke up during lockdown. You remember
Yes.
how loud the birds became. Um, I don't know why. I don't know what it is about birds, but I always had a thing about fantails, and I still talk to the fantails in the back garden because I associate them with mum and dad. It's just something I need to do. But isn't it funny? It's like I've got a cat and a dog. Why aren't they in my paintings?
Yeah.
Um, I don't know. They're really aesthetic.
Yeah.
They're
They
really
are
aesthetic,
beautiful.
and it's introducing something sort of. It's not as staid as a tree. It's like it's bird life, and you're capturing something that literally will move in a second,
Mm.
and it'll be gone. But I've captured it.
Yeah.
Yeah, birds to me have always had a bit of a spiritual connection, I think. Yeah, I do have a nice little chat to the fantails at the back. I've got a painting of a kiruru that I did years ago, and somebody commented on it. I've got one sitting on a hefty branch out the front. I mean, like the 747s of the bird world, they're enormous.
Yeah.
And then in the background, I've actually got a kiruru in flight, and it looks like an angel. And the number of people that have bought that print when someone died, because it's just like, that's me and that's my mum, or that's my
Yeah.
dad, or it's just
Yes.
like people connect with them.
Yeah. They
It's
really do.
Yeah, they
I,
really do, and I mean it's a human thing. We don't. I would never have a pet bird in that. I'd never have a pet tui or anything, and maybe it's that freedom. I don't know what it is,
yeah.
but
And it's interesting
it's
that a lot
just
of people do associate people who have passed away as a bird. Like when a bird comes to them, they often have that
yeah.
sort of spiritual feeling about them, which even people on the podcast have spoken about that in the past. And I think there's something spiritual about birds. And it's not like,
Mm,
a dog coming towards you would make you feel of it would make you
no,
feel reminded of a loved one who'd passed away. It's there aren't really any other animals that do that, but there's something about birds that have that. And also the way they sort of come to you um into your space sort of feels spiritual.
special.
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
quite like
it,
this. It is different to other animals, isn't it?
you feel sort of privileged when they're sort of around you.
Yeah.
Um,
And almost
yeah, we get
protected.
them. Yeah, you do. And fantails, I don't know what it is about fantails, but we've got we seem to end up with quite a few. And why do I talk to a fantail? But I'll be out there and we'll have little conversations. It's just, I just sort of think, oh, that's Dad. I mean, of course it's
Yeah.
not Dad. I don't
But
know.
it's
Maybe it is,
reminding you.
but
Yeah.
what is it that's making that connection for me that, I think that's, I don't know. It's just
It's
one of those
really
random things.
it's fascinating, isn't it? And I think New Zealand native birds in particular, and it may just be native birds for lots of people around the world, but for New Zealanders, our native birds are very special, especially the
Yes.
kiriru. We've got lots of
Mm.
native birds in our garden too. And the kiriru,
Mm.
I love the way the kiriru kind of stick together often in pairs
Oh,
and I think they
yeah.
find a garden that they like and they hang out there for quite a while. Like we often have a
Mm.
pair that are there, then they might head off and then I don't know if it's the same pair coming back or it's another pair, but they almost feel quite human-like those kind of
Mm.
birds. And then the tui and
Oh,
the
when
sort of
they,
the naughtiness
oh,
of the tuis and the sort of
yeah. Yeah.
loudness and they love being in big crowds of tuis and
Oh,
they're
I
such a
know.
different personality. And then the piwaka waka again is different. So yeah, there's something quite special about birds.
Oh, I just, yeah. Honestly, we've got tuis down at the moment. There's a whole lot of blossom trees. I know they're not native cherry trees or anything, but they just flock there. And I've counted 22 in that tree, in one of those trees down there. And that the call of them is just so, oh, it's just, you just, I don't know,
Yeah,
I love it.
it's
Yeah,
captivating,
it's
and
captivating.
we're so lucky in the city, or on the outskirts of the
Mm.
city, to have that kind of wildlife. Really.
Mm.
Anyway, let's move on from the birds. They've
Hmm.
taken a little bit of focus, which is good. We love the birds, but
We love
back to
it.
your series. So you've done all of those sort of landscapes with the flora or the
Mm.
foliage and then the birds as well. But then you have quite recently returned to your sort of landscapes that
Roads.
don't have the same focus on the foliage
Mm.
and they also always have a road in them and it's New Zealand,
Mm.
often rolling hills or just countryside, isn't it really? But with the
Yeah.
road as the sort of connecting feature. So how did you
Hmm.
return to that and where do you think that series is going?
I know where it's going, which is quite exciting. But I love the fact that I feel like they've evolved from what I was doing initially. I feel like I've matured a lot. And, you know, the people that have got my earlier roads and everything, I mean, I hope they still love them and everything, but I just feel like I've matured and I've
Evolved.
always loved a hill. Yeah, the Lindis Pass hills and rolling hills, and then catching them at certain times of the afternoon. At 4 o'clock in the afternoon, where you get the sun hits one side and the shadows and the crevices of the hill and everything are all hidden on the other side. It just stops me in my tracks. I'm terrible to travel with, terrible. Um, and once again, people will say, "Have you done this road or have you travelled this road?" And they're really hitting a mark with people. They're saying they're very New Zealand, and I've got some of the farmers' fences and wonky fences that are everywhere, and they are quite iconically New Zealand.
Mm.
Um, yeah, I don't know where they're going, but I'm loving doing them.
Yeah, that's so good. They're
So
beautiful. They're really
yeah.
clever. And there's something
Mm.
about the road and the movement in the road and the contrast with the road and the countryside that is just so effective. And I
Mm.
suppose that takes you back again to that sort of graphic style, that sort of simplicity and the graphic nature of the
Mm.
road, contrasting with
Yeah.
the countryside is really
There's an
beautiful.
Australian artist called Jeffrey Smart, and he was one artist that really I just went, oh, I love this, and he's quite graphic. So I think I'm drawn to that. graphic nature. And isn't it funny how you don't even think about what you're doing, but you suddenly realize, oh, I'm more of a graphic artist.
Yeah.
So to have introduced the road, I felt like it needed some sort of human element. It's not the road is kind of like my foliage at the moment. So it's kind of got that other thing that just stops it being just a pretty landscape, and falling into that sort of chocolate boxy kind of thing. The road kind of gives it that, oh, okay, this just takes it to it elevates it a little bit. And people sort of seem to go, oh, well, you're turning around a corner. Where's it going? And
and it really sort of connects. It's like a human connection in some ways. It sort of reminds people of experiences they've had or drives they've taken or, journeys they've been on. I
snap my phone as we're driving, out the window. So it's not like I'm going on a dirt track to find a road that I like. These are all roads that I've traveled on and that I keep traveling on, and other people are traveling on. I mean, the one that I sold a print yesterday of it's the drive to Matarangi, or the Coromandel Coast and everything, and you come over that hill in Manaia as you're coming over, and the hills are just astounding, and then all the islands in the background are just like they just get lighter and lighter blue as they recede. That road is so familiar to so many people, and they just, oh my God, that's my road. And as soon as this woman saw it, she went, oh, my husband's been going to Matarangi for 30 years, or no, it was longer than that, since he was a kid, I think she said. And she said, this is everything to him. It's like him, our children have been, my dog's just come to say hi. She's going, this view is everything to him. So she's surprising him on Sunday with one of my prints, which is lovely.
That's so beautiful. Yeah, I think the road does add something, doesn't it? Even though people might recognize the countryside, I think, it deepens that connection having the actual road. So for the roadie series, is the process the same, or do you work slightly different for that series?
Slightly differently, because you need to, if it's like a headland or an iconic, turret on the top of a hill, you need to get that right. So with that, still it's pretty organic. I just do the sky, and then literally just do a pencil line across the top, and then I'm pretty rough, and then the paint just does it. So nothing is drawn meticulously. It's like a suggestion of the way this mountain falls.
And you're using a photograph as a reference.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's just taped on my easel as I'm doing it. Sometimes I get lost and I go, oh my God, what particular mountain turret am I up to? Yeah, but you just sort of, it's a suggestion, or it's when you look at it, those artists that used to go out and just paint in plain air, they weren't always absolutely geographically correct.
No. And you've never thought about transferring the outlines and the shapes from a projector or off the computer, or gridding?
The only time I've ever done that is so with the birds, I actually print out the birds and I get the birds to the size, and I tape them on it's just an A3 sheet of paper, and that's taped on there, and then I transfer the outside, so I go, okay, this is how big it needs to be. So, and then everything else is just done with the brush. If it's like like Granny Toto, for example, is really specific. You need to get that absolutely right, because the it's so identifiable. If you get that wrong, it's got the north the view from, say, Takapuna is quite different to the view we get from, say, St Heliers or, Kohi. So you've got to get that right. But other than that, no, I don't transfer any headlands or hills or anything with a projector or anything. That's all just hand drawn with pencil and then just kind of fudged along the way.
That's amazing. And the road, same thing with the road.
The roads, I can't tell you how many times I've redone the lines in the middle. They can be very challenging because
I can imagine.
As they go into please don't look too close. Everyone will now. They'll all just look at them and go, oh, that's a bit off. Because as they go into the distance, the distance between them changes, the length of them changes, the width of them changes, and so that can be quite hard. But I just do it to the best of my ability. It's a painting. It's not a photograph.
Yeah, but you do it in a way that it reminds people of the place. So you're obviously capturing it pretty accurately.
I'm getting it.
Yeah, which is good. And then the other works that you've sort of started introducing to your practice, like we said before, the neutrals and the really quite colourful backgrounds with the birds. What made you sort of go into that slightly different line?
I really wanted to. I was getting so tight in my practice that I felt like I needed to sort of be a bit more expressive and play with some other colours and have some fun and try some different things. And if they work, they work. If they don't, but I always want them to work because, like I said, I don't like clutter and having stuff around. So I'm always hoping they're going to work. The colourful ones, the backgrounds are actually harder to do than the birds because that's when you realise how clever abstract painters are. There's always balance and abstraction. And I can just keep, that's the beauty of it as well, is that you can keep going and play with it and build it up and then, okay, well, that bit's too light and that bit's too dark. But there's got to be sort of some element of, it's just got to be balanced properly for it to work. And so, I've always said, the backgrounds are always the hardest bit in those. And then the birds just sort of just happen because I'm just used to painting them. But I just felt like I needed to play with something that wasn't quite as structured to have some fun. And, it was really nice using different colours and, like when I've got the pink fantails and the blue, the blue of the kingfishers. And that one's been really popular because it's, I don't know, people love blue. People love blue.
But they are
but the neutrals I really enjoy it. Like that's my comfort place. Like I would be drawn to sort of a neutral palette naturally, probably even more than what I'm known for. I love a neutral painting. So I wanted to sort of say, okay, well, how can I make something that I like? How can I make this work? What can I do with this? And I don't know where the organic shapes come from. They just happen.
Yeah. They're really
beautiful. Who knows? There's something else coming through me, maybe. I don't know.
Well, I'm sure it is, like we said, a bit of influence from your childhood, which I think is quite a cool thing. Maybe some sort of reference to your mum and dad again, just coming through. Yeah.
My cool mum and dad.
Yeah, which is so nice, isn't it? Yeah. And how do you find managing different series like that? And as far as sort of, do you have different audiences for each of the types of work, or do you find that people sort of go right across your series and enjoy all of them, or how do you find managing that?
I was at a school exhibition years ago, and it was quite funny. There were a couple and they were standing in front of my pieces, and here was, one of my colourful pieces and then, one of my nature pieces. And I don't know if the couple realised it was the same artist, but they were both standing there and the woman goes, oh, I love this. And then You never stand next to your own work at an exhibition. It's horrible. It's just awful. And the husband just kind of screwed up his nose. He went, no, don't like that. Oh, I like this one. I like this one. And it was just quite funny. It was just like, oh, okay, I got him on. I got both of you, but you didn't know that I got both of you. So that was quite, yeah, that's quite fun. But yeah, people like the different ones, but they generally are one or the other. Which, yeah, I'm happy with both. It's so I personally like doing. I've usually got about 6 paintings on the go at the same time, and if one isn't working, I park it.
Yeah,
and it can be parked for weeks, and I'll come back to it and get fresh eye. I mean, there's an artist that I looked at the other day, and she turns it around. She's going, you just don't look at it, and but sometimes you can get so stuck. And at least if I've got 6 going at the same time at various stages, you can just come back to it. I mean, in a day I can work on 3 different ones because I'm like, nope, that's not working, or that's drying, or so
yeah.
I'm
And you
quite
feel
prolific.
like, yeah, it seems like you are. I feel like you're producing a lot, but you're also very diligent in the way that you work, and that's part of the reason why you are prolific. But do you find that also having different series, you can sort of pop into something depending on how you're feeling on the day, or other
Yes,
things that
yes,
might be influencing you?
yes, definitely. I find if I really have to concentrate on something, I couldn't do the sort of abstracty backgrounds if I had to concentrate. Whereas I can kind of just lose myself in the methodology of just painting leaves, or the patterns of the bird's wings, or I get lost in that. Whereas the intensity of painting a background where it's not organic just uses a lot of my brain space, and I get incredibly frustrated, and then I have to just park it. Yeah, where it's a very different mindset between the 2 different pieces. And that was what it was sort of like with graphic design, and having a normal 9 to 5 job. I mean, I had to just switch off from that, because your brain doesn't work 2 different ways like that. It's very hard to make them work simultaneously.
Yeah.
So it just depends on where my head's at, and if I'm able to concentrate that day, or if I can just, it's like cross stitch, you can just, or knitting, I can just get the leaves happening, and
yeah, and it's quite
just
great.
lose myself in it.
It is good that you have these different options that you can think, what am I feeling like today? Where's my headspace, or what's my mindset? And so you have those options, which is really cool. I think it's a good idea.
And if all else fails, I put the washing on and walk the dog.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Dogs are great for that. Do you ever feel unmotivated, stuck, or disheartened? And if you do, how do you get through that kind of period?
There was an artist, oh gosh, I can't remember his name. He was a friend of David's godparents. Yeah, he used to paint incredible birds. And I remember he said to me, and this was great advice too, you always take advice from people who are very high up in their field. He said to me, if you are stuck and if you are really unmotivated, tell yourself you're not allowed to paint, and I guarantee you'll want to. So he would say to you, you're not allowed to work for 2 weeks. You just got to do everything, but you're not allowed in the studio. So that's what I do. I say, okay, I'm not allowed to. And then you want to.
Yeah.
So it's a nice little way of getting through it. I tidy. My studio suddenly, I'll clean all the paint off the bench, or I'll vacuum it or something, and just reset and go through my brushes and get rid of all the old brushes and just tidy it. And that helps me reset.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you struggle with in your practice that people might not expect?
Probably confidence when I see other people's work. Yeah, it can be quite difficult where you suddenly think, oh my gosh, he does really good flax. I think I was mentioning Neil, and I was going, oh my God, it's just so beautiful. And you look at the way other people get like perfectly graduated, skies, or, it's not like I want to necessarily paint like them, but I just go, oh, it's just that frustration knowing that I don't know that I could. I just don't, I think I was watching a Matt Payne video the other night. He just did a little snippet on Instagram, and I'm looking at him, and he does that beautiful graduated ocean. And then as it gets closer, all the ripples and I just look at that and just go, I don't know how he does it. I'd love to know, but I also don't want to know. It's like, why would I want to know how a magician cuts a person in half? It's like, I don't want to ruin the magic, but it just makes me feel, I hate feeling average, and that makes me feel very average.
Really?
Yeah. So
that's interesting.
There's that envy sometimes.
Yeah.
Or people that are really imaginative, where they can see something that I can't even imagine. Where did that come from? It's and they've got some clever story behind it. And I go, oh, no, I don't have one of those. Yeah, so sometimes I get sort of a little bit envious of that people are really cleverly imaginative. I don't even know why I find it hard, because I enjoy what they do. So why am I envious of it? Because I don't want to do it. I'm just like,
Do you feel like, does it give you doubt in your own practice and what you're doing when you see what other people are doing?
Yes, I think it probably does sometimes. Am I pushing myself hard enough? Am I thinking creatively enough? Am I, what else could I be doing to push myself?
And I think it's good to challenge yourself in that way and think like that. And probably, being exposed to other artists that makes you think like that is a healthy thing. I mean, it's just making you reflect on your own practice and what you're doing. And fundamentally, you have your style and your painting method, and that's what you return to. But it's not a bad thing to go down that road and just sort of think, could I be doing this? Or, should I try that?
Yeah.
And then, you come
experiment.
but you come to the conclusion like, no, I'm good with what I'm doing.
That actually does happen. You sort of, you experiment and you play, and then you come back to what you're doing and you go, no, this is where it's home. This is home. Yeah. I don't know why I'm playing with all this other stuff, because this is where I'm meant to be.
Yeah, but I feel like it's a healthy thing to go through. It doesn't always have to be seen as a negative thing, having that kind of slight imposter syndrome, whatever you want to call it, because it does make you think, and then you do get to that sort of conclusion that you're like, actually, it's all good. So if we can just maybe turn around those feelings of doubt or uncertainty to be seen and look at it more as a positive thing, I think that's a good thing. Yeah.
I'm always amazed when I've listened to your podcasts and podcasts of even actors, and they all everyone's full of self-doubt. So, and I'm not alone in it.
No.
So.
And it's interesting to me too that you've been a full-time artist for, 27 years, and you still have those moments of doubt.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep. It's just life, isn't it? It's humans.
It's just life. Yeah.
Yeah. So speaking of life, you are with Art by the Sea, as you mentioned, and you've been with them for a long time. They're now in Takapuna in Tāmaki Makaurau, Auckland. You are with the Poi Room, and you're with Little River Gallery down in Christchurch.
And on the road to Aotearoa. It's a beautiful gallery. Yes.
Yeah. How have you connected, or, can you give us any tips around galleries and any thoughts you have?
I work with people that I like and who I feel like I connect with. I've got my prints at Turua Gallery as well. And various other little scattered sort of galleries throughout. Art by the River in Whanganui. It's very intimidating. approaching galleries where you sort of think to yourself, oh my gosh, would I fit in there and everything. But yeah, I've been quite fortunate with the people that I've worked with, and they get so many people approaching them, and they know what works for them. And so you can't be offended if they say, no, I don't think you're the right fit. I think there was a gallery up in Matakana. I thought, I'd like to be in here, but I'm not modern enough, so I just, I walk in and I go, yeah, I know this isn't right for me. I'm not right for them. Yeah, it can be very intimidating. And I can imagine it'd be really awkward for the gallery owner to just sort of say, I'm really sorry, but yeah. Little River, I can't even remember how that happened, but gosh, that was fortuitous. I've had some lovely exhibitions down there. They've got a lovely, a cafe, and then the big shop, and then they've got a big exhibition space, and the exhibition space is magnificent. It's just, it's amazing. So yeah, that's been nice. And my daughter lives in Christchurch now too, so that's a double.
That's perfect.
Yeah,
and it's quite a nice spread. Do you sort of have thoughts of heading, further down south to Dunedin or Queenstown or anything like that?
I didn't really know. I looked at some galleries in Queenstown, and I really wasn't quite sure where I fitted. Queenstown's an unusual place. You sort of, I need to revisit that because I would like to be there. I don't know. I paint a lot of Northland things and a lot of tuis and everything. So now that I'm doing the roads, I'll be traveling a lot around there. The road from Queenstown to Glenorchy, I can't tell you how many photos I have of the road. So, the Southland series might be coming, and suddenly I might be a bit of fit down there.
Yeah.
Very different foliage. So I've been I live up here, so this is what I'm exposed to. So you paint what you know.
Yeah.
And, you get down further south, and the trees are different, and the birds are different, and suddenly, you, like, for example, we were driving out to Little River, and I thought, oh my gosh, look at all these. Are they geese? What are they? Oh my gosh, they're so cool. How cool are these? And I remember somebody saying, oh my God, somebody's just got to kill all these geese. And I thought, oh my God, imagine if I'd painted those geese. They're like a pest.
Yeah.
So you have to know the area before you invest in it.
Yeah.
So
and do a bit of research, I guess, too.
Do a bit of research.
Yeah. So let's get to those gnarly little questions that I ask every guest. What would you say to your younger artistic self?
Keep going. It's all going to be okay. Yeah. Just keep plodding along and just dedicate yourself to it. Throw yourself into it. But I think every step along the way, you're going to learn something. So just keep doing what you're doing. The progression was actually great. I'll say you'll find your way.
Yes. Nice. Yeah. And what has been the most significant sort of pivotal moment in your artistic career, do you think?
David just opened a beer. Did you hear that?
Yeah, I did actually. Sounds nice.
The time is quite different to you at the moment.
Oh, makes me want a beer now.
When David told me to write artist on the immigration form of Australia, yeah, that was definitely it. And suddenly I just was able to say, okay, that's what I am.
Yeah.
And it gave me permission, and I knew he was giving me permission to sort of say, just do it. So, yeah, it was that, because that was when I really just threw myself into it and thought, I'm not going to look, I don't need to be an advertiser. I can just do this and see if I can make a go of it, give it a go for a year. And here I am.
Look back, yeah. All these years later.
I certainly haven't. I've got the best job in the world.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And you've made it happen too. It's not an accident, it's not luck. It's something that you've
diligence.
Done. Yeah. Yeah. And good on David for making that happen, or helping you kind of take the leap.
Take the leap. Yeah. It was just, it was, I'm very, very grateful for that.
And what do you find challenging about being an artist?
The fluidity of income sometimes that can be challenging. I mean, it's not all about the money for me, but sometimes it has to be. So yeah, it's almost like and sort of yeah, when you're doing it as an income and as a job, um, I love all the exhibition side of it and gearing up for shows and everything, and but if sometimes something doesn't resonate, you love it, but you're thinking, oh gosh, this hasn't hit a mark. Why is that? I don't know what's wrong. But it can be completely external circumstances that has nothing to do with what you're doing. But it's very hard not to take it personally. External factors that you have no control over just get in your head, and they can be quite, discouraging.
Yeah. And often you find that those things that don't sell when you expect them to might sell later, or, there's so many other
Yeah,
variables.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Suddenly it's just like the right person hasn't found it yet. Yeah.
Yeah. And you
So,
mentioned Neil Palmer, but are there any artists in particular who inspire you in your artwork?
so many. I mean, I love Andrew Barnes Graham's work. I love Niels Flaxen's. I love Matt Payne's Oceans. I love Michelle MacGyver's, like, I don't even know how she does what she does. I mean, there's just so many, and I don't want to offend anyone by not mentioning anyone. But the one that I think really I I went, oh my goodness, was Jeffrey Smart in Australia. I suppose it's the graphic side of it. Like I said, that's one artist that I went, oh my God, I'm buying that book. Bought the book, and I'd never had that kind of overwhelming need for it. I mean, I love Carl Morn's work, but yeah, that's the one where I just went, I'm buying the book.
Yeah,
Yeah.
good. And what is coming up for you, Kirsty?
More of the same. Well, maybe more different. I don't know. I'm just going to keep on getting better, I hope. And um, I don't know. I think in the last couple of years, I've probably been thinking I need to sort of put my business hat on a little bit more. So I've just redone my website with a very talented girl, and she has made it into something where I think, okay, she took it so far beyond what I would ever have imagined, and she made me look really professional. And I suddenly thought, maybe I am. So I think starting to take myself sort of seriously and push myself more as a business, and not lose the fun aspect of and the creative aspect of being an artist. I don't want to necessarily be commercial. I mean, I am, but you know what I mean? It's just like I just want to take myself a bit more seriously.
Yeah. And that website has been beautifully created. And I loved the
Yeah.
video that you had made where you were talking. I thought that was really good. And it really made the viewer, sort of connect with you as a person. And you came across really well. And I know it probably wasn't easy to do, but I thought you did
It
really
really
well with that.
wasn't.
Yeah. And it's great to do it. And sometimes that's why it's good to have another person involved so that they
Mm.
kind of push you like, yes, you need to do this. And so you do it rather than, as often artists do, we kind of run our own stuff. And it's in a way it stops you sort of from maybe pushing into that discomfort area.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. You do very well with your marketing and the way that you present yourself and your art and present yourself as a professional artist. And
Thank you.
I think you're pretty good on Instagram. Yeah, I like the vibe that you present.
Oh, thank you. I actually love doing Instagram.
Do
So
you?
I think my next thing, I might get onto a bit of Pinterest maybe and have a bit of fun with that.
Mm.
And yeah, I love doing Instagram because I love, we'll be away somewhere and I'll just see an image, and it won't necessarily be of anything that has any relevance to what I would paint, but I just go, oh, that rope hanging over that balustrade is like, oh my gosh, so it can be more random.
Yeah.
And yeah, so yeah, we all like to
Yeah.
we need to tell stories. So that's the
Yeah.
story of my life.
Exactly. And I think
Mm,
people do love to see that, and it's a bit
yeah.
more of a personal take, I suppose. Anyway,
Yeah.
Kirsty, thank you so much for being brave enough 4 years later from our first conversation to finally do it. Hopefully, you enjoyed yourself and it wasn't as hard as you expected.
It was amazing. You're very good at what you do. I just feel like I'm chatting to you. So it's been an absolute pleasure. And maybe it was just serendipitous that the timing never
Yeah.
worked, or maybe my um, nervousness finally got me to a place where I was okay with it. But yeah,
Yeah,
you've made it a
exactly.
pleasure. Thank
And
you.
in 20, oh, you're welcome. And in 2021, you weren't doing some of those other series. So there you go. It was worth waiting for.
True.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
true.
Oh, well, thank you so
Oh,
much, Kirsty.
thank you. Thank you for having me.